Hi guys, we're back on my
Long
channel.
time no
Welcome
see.
back. Welcome back to Reads Readers with your host Clint, and then Aman
We were
and
just,
Hope.
we were just.
Yes, we were just talking about fiction falls. And we are doing the first episode of the Klunealong, which TJ Klune is we are huge Klunenites here.
It's what started our friendship.
And we
So
are going to be discussing The Extraordinaries, his one and only YA series. And I know we have a couple of comments from Misty. Misty says, I unfortunately won't be able to make the live because she still hasn't read the book, but she will watch back, and once she does finish, and hopefully we'll be able to catch up and join the chat for Flashfire. Hope
more
we
than
have a great
understandable.
chat.
I think we will.
Let us do our introductions and starting ratings. Again, Hope, kick it off.
Again, okay. So I'm Hope from It's Hope's Books, and I didn't finish my reread. Let me quickly check Goodreads to see what I gave it the first time around, though. I think it was how do I work Goodreads? Jesus Christ.
I do know we did read this, 3-4 years ago
We
for one
read
of the
it
season-a-thons.
and 3 years ago. Jesus Christ, I marked this book as to read 5 years ago. Like to be read 5 years ago.
Oh God.
We read it 3 years ago, and when I read it 3 years ago, I gave it 5 stars. Because I loved it. I'm currently 32 or 33% in this reread. And honestly, it's probably still gonna be that 5 star because it's just that like mind. I don't need to think while listening to the audiobook.
Oh, we
I
did it
just
for
vibe.
spring. For some reason I thought it was a summer book. We read it for spring
No,
and
it's spring.
reading.
Yeah, because I remember you told me about you getting to interview TJ Klune. I think it was a couple days before my birthday.
I am going to try to see if we can't get him. But found out Instagram, you can't go through Instagram to try to get a hold of him. So I need to find out who his agent is and see. I think it would be cool to interview him once we're done with the Klunealong.
Yeah.
And be
Also, if
able.
you hear background noise, just the other half doing shit. Except
Okay,
for any viewers.
let us just dive on in. And what are our thoughts on the characters? Like, do we have a favorite character, least favorite?
I I relate to Nick so much. I didn't realize how much I related to him until this
Uh-huh.
read where I'm just like, everything makes sense because when I first read this, it was before I got diagnosed with ADHD, but I had kind of was like in the early stages of like I think I might have it, but like hadn't gone to the doctor and done all that. And it's like I think it was like a year after we read this, they were like, "Yeah, you have ADHD."
Yeah, I've been told I have
Didn't
ADHD. I have not been officially diagnosed because I'm still waiting to figure out, America being the way it is. Do I want to be diagnosed? Because if I do, that will limit what countries I can flee to if I need to.
Yeah. Mine is very much I needed it because I needed to be medicated. I'm now medicated. Shockingly, on a very similar worded medication to the medication that Nick is on, that I literally had to pause and go grab my medication bottle to be like, huh?
I wonder if TJ is on the same medication you are because he has ADHD.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if it was just, oh, I'll take the name of the medication. Like, he took the name of the medication he's on, and it was just like, oh, we'll just change a couple letters so that it's not that, so it's not an actual brand of medication,
Mhm.
because that could be bad for saying like, "Hey, this is what this medication does in this fictional world, so it might be in this." So it's I feel like it might have been or a medication that he was on at some point or
I know
all
my
that stuff.
favorite character isn't introduced in this book yet. I think she gets introduced in Flashfire, the drag queen.
Oh yeah, I was like, my brain, I can't remember the name,
I can't remember her name off the top
but
of my head either, but I had to flip through the book at one point because I listened to it and I'm listening to it at work and I'm like, oh, it's a reread, so I don't fully have to pay attention,
yeah, I
but
think
I'm
it's the
still
beginning.
getting.
I think it's the beginning of the second book,
I think so too, but she's
beginning to
my
like
favorite. So I was like, I also had to go back through to make sure as I was coming up with questions. Yes, I read the book the day before.
yes, comment misconduct.
Ah,
Yes,
yes, thank you.
I would have been sitting here thinking for an hour to figure that out.
My brain when it's missed something, but I had to go back through the book as I was coming up with the questions to make sure certain scenes did not happen in this book because I read when I first read this series. Like I read the first one for spring, and I do remember I read Flashfire and the other one back to back.
Yeah, Flashfire and Heatwave.
So I'm like, I needed to make sure. It's like, was the prom scene in this one? No,
No.
prom is the next book. Okay.
Yeah, that's how the next one kind of concludes.
So I was
Yeah.
like, needed to make sure I remembered which book had which scene. You know how you can reread a book, but then you're starting to come up with questions. You're like, you're questioning yourself, going, was that in that book I read?
Yeah.
Or is it in the
Like, did I
sequel?
listen to that this time or did I just think of that?
Hi. Um, I know I really love Seth and he's adorable and I just want to hug him and love him forever and ever and ever.
Oh, yeah. I
And I
also
think,
really like Gibby.
oh God,
She's
yes.
just she's just iconic.
Yes. And I just don't like Owen. I will
Yeah,
never
no.
like Owen.
I forgot how much I hated him until his name was brought up, and then I was just like, ugh. He's just so annoying and just so like he's an entitled twat, to put it nicely.
I love that. Okay. How did Nicholas Bell's ADHD influence his perception of the world and his interactions with others?
He very much puts his own feelings and his what he's thinking of first before anybody else, which I'm guilty of doing that sometimes. And then I always feel bad and then I'm like crap, I'm a horrible friend, I'm a horrible girlfriend. I'm like I'm just horrible because I do that. So I get it and it's that the interactions with people very much like his perception of the world is very much focused on him.
I
But
have
that
alarms. I have
is
alarms
very
on my phone to make sure I check on other friends and to keep me like I know I can stay in my own little world, like you're saying, but I need these alarms on the occasion that I'm so in depth in something I'm doing and I feel like I'm constantly talking about me. I'm like, oh crap. So I every week I'm checking on a different friend. I have like three different alarms, and each week it's like those three. I get three different friends each week, and then the next week it's a different. So I'm like I'm checking in with everybody.
fair. I need to be better at checking in with people because it's like I talk to like I only talk to like two people on a daily basis, I'd say. So
If you're not in a group chat, I might not talk to you. So I'm like,
I'm
that's
like,
how
yeah,
I'm like actively forcing myself
yeah, it's like
outside.
I'll pop in and out of group chats maybe like once a week, say a couple things, read the chat, make sure everybody's doing good, and then just kind of dip out for a couple days. And I feel guilty of it. And that's very much kind of what Nick does, is he's very much like if he's not like when he's with his friends, he does put priority on them, but with a focus on himself. But that's again what a lot of ADHD people do.
Hmm. They're
Unless it's the
either,
flip side where it's
yeah,
like you don't talk about yourself, you don't talk to people, you're more isolated, but he's more of the like extroverted ADHD person.
um, Miss V says that she loves all of the core four. And then we were asked off topic, will you read TJ's 2026 book about elderly gays next year? We are.
Yeah.
We had made our like trajectory of what we were reading before we knew that book was coming out, so we're tacking that on at the very end, and
Which
that gets
works
taken
out
care of in June.
yeah, which works out good because it comes out April, like
Hmm.
end of April. So it gives everybody like all of May to like get a hold of it and then June to read it. Or if somebody reads it the day it comes out, well, it's still only like 2 months later. So
Hmm.
yeah.
And I know I'm waiting till we have our live show. Like I'm gonna read it up to the live show, and it'll be the only book on this list. Well, we don't talk about puppets. Um, that'll be a fun live show. Um, this will be the only one that'll be a specific. Oh, it's fresh for all of us.
Yeah. Which I'm excited about that one.
Um, discuss the dynamics of Nick's relationships with his parents or his parent,
Parent.
friends. For his friends, but speaking of only Gibby and Jazz and his online community.
Well, I do. I like the relationship that he has with his dad of how it's
Hmm.
complex. It has layers. It's
It's an
his dad
onion.
is trying.
Have layers.
It's an onion. It's an onion. And I love his dad. His dad actually might be one of my favorite characters because he is just trying to keep Nick safe, and he is willing to play the bad guy to keep his son safe
Which we don't get
because
many fathers in books that are so good like that.
yeah, he's like he just wants what's best for Nick. Wants He wants to make sure that Nick's like relationships with his friends is good. Wants to make sure that he's safe in all aspects of life, which there's some parents that kind of they don't care about like your kids' friendships. It's like, "Oh, cool, you have friends." Like, whoopee.
To the
And then
point,
there's
he is all about safety to the point where I know it's one of the other books that he has a conversation about a dental dam and goes into full detail on what that is and how to use it. That is one of the most hilarious scenes I have ever read in a book.
forgot about that.
I want to say
I
it's in
forgot.
Flashfire.
I think it is. It's like middle of the book, I'd say. Well, damn, I forgot about that now. She's
Sorry, had to use that as an example of how great of a father he is.
yeah, of how it's like, yeah, then even like just supportive about I mean, not supportive about everything, but like even the things where it's like kind of like you kind of question Nick's choices. His dad's like, "Hey, well, I'm not gonna stop you, but I'm gonna say don't do it. But if you do it, I'm gonna lead you on the
That's
way."
right. Thank you, Miss V.
Yeah. And his online community, I I don't remember that much about the online community about in the like later half of the book.
I just know, as someone who used to write fan fictions about She Who Shall Never Be Named books,
Yeah.
about Zachariah Smith and Ron Weasley getting together, and my gay, smutty fan fictions, that I am so glad that I don't remember what my username was on there because it was one that I don't commonly use. I did that on purpose.
Yeah.
So no one can go try to find them. I just remember there was a fun one where Draco Malfoy was involved and he was punished in a certain way in front of God and everybody.
Oh
And
God.
it was glorious. It was almost that whole Mad Eye Moody turning him into a ferret scene, but better.
Oh dear Lord. And see, with me, I read fan fiction from the same series that we were that you wrote, but I was never like commenting on it and like all that. I was just more of a silent reader that maybe if like a chapter was really good, I'd comment like, "Oh, this was cute" or like whatever. But that's as far as I went into like the fanfic writing community. Is
Who
just
narrates
being
it?
a commenter every so often. So I don't think I really am the person to discuss that dynamic of a relationship because it's very much also that type of relationship is one of those like parasocial relationships where you don't really know the person that's actually writing the fic. So whatever you say, it's like you're saying that to a real person, but you don't think about them as a real person because they're just
Um,
a faceless name behind a screen that writes these fics. And
I will say I really like the narrator for the audiobooks, Michael Leslie, because of what he does with the online community where he gave every person an individual voice. Like, Ellie Coin, why would you stop like right there? Oh my god, this is the greatest thing I've ever read. And it felt like so authentic to having the woo woos. Like literally there was a moment where he said woo woo and I went, "Oh honey, you don't read out the woo woo. It's just woo woo there. It's like the little cat phase. Like, no." But it made it so authentic and fun and whimsical and hilarious. And I know your boyfriend's probably making fun of how I just said that.
I think he's zoned out. Yeah, he's zoned out.
But what do you think of Nick's relationship with Seth and how it developed and where the challenges they faced and how long it took Nick to realize?
Oh my I'm at the point where he's like kind of realizing like the scene I'm kind of right around the scene where like Nick's dad and the captain are downstairs watching baseball
Hmm,
and
they're
first
they're
Seth
dating.
comes over and like
Keep the
that
door
moment and
open.
then when Nick is like randomly looking at Seth's lips and going, he has good lips and then like Gibby and Jazz walk in, that's the exact scene I just read. So even that, I'm like, dude, in the nicest way possible. If you're staring at your friend's lips, just being like, they look like they'd be soft.
But
Like,
in his defense, people with ADHD, we can
they
be
can't.
oblivious of certain things. He's also a man, or a boy, I should say. Men are always oblivious. Oh, so
I'm
does that
just
make
being.
Seth the woman in the relationship with the way I just said that?
Yes,
All
yes.
right.
Yeah, guys with ADHD do not realize that you like them until you have to spell it out for them about half a dozen times.
And I just
And
love
then their
Gibby.
mother makes a comment on it too.
I love Gibby with the whole
Yep.
Gibby with the whole really you don't see I promise I wouldn't say anything. I won't say anything. I won't say anything. And he's like, say something about what? Nothing changes the complete subject and gets him back to a tangent on something else. Like, I
Yeah.
love you.
But like I guess the challenges they faced were like the realization plus just teenage boys. They don't know their feelings.
and then when he
So
finds
that's a
out that
challenge
he's
it just in itself as teen boys.
when he finds out that he's Pyrostorm and Nick's entire view of everything was flipped on its head.
Yeah, just like uh, 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 like
But you can't be a villain. You wouldn't hurt a fly. Wait, so Pyrostorm's not a villain? Wait, what? Whoa, what?
yeah, I'm not questioning everything that he's ever known.
And I love how Seth always mentions you keep talking about Pyrostorm's abs a lot.
Not.
A lot. He's like, ding, ding, ding. I have abs now.
Put two and two together.
How do the different characters with superpowers contribute to the story and Nick's journey?
I mean, mm,
Without trying to spoil the other two books.
I know that's
Um,
my brain is like I had a thought and I'm like, no, I think that's spoiling like the fucking ending of the last book or some shit. I mean, I guess in
mm,
reality, the characters with superpowers are what fuels Nick's journey. They are what he hyperfixates on. And in reality, with people with ADHD, if you're hyperfixating on something, that is all you think about. That is all you want to do. It's all you want to think about. So it's that like,
oh, are you frozen? I'm gonna. Are you there?
okay, I think we're back.
Yes. Okay. I was like, you were mid thought. I thought you had stopped to think, and then I went, wait, she's been making that same face for a minute. Hold on.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you heard what I said, but I will say it's like essentially the characters with the superpowers are kind of like the fuel to Nick's fire that is just keeping him going.
I
And
mean,
so it
take his.
really is. No. Oh,
There's more superheroes than just Marvel and the boys. Um,
he doesn't read. He reads
but,
the closest thing he reads is car manuals.
but I do like the board that he has. Love you too. Um, that where he's like, I want to get superpowers, and he has like Batman, Superman. I was like, you put Batman on a board because you want superpowers, but
Yeah.
Batman doesn't. Okay, okay.
I guess it's more of the secret identity aspect
I was just
that's
like, alrighty then. And I'm sorry, it was kind of obvious that Pyrestorm was going to be Seth and that Owen was going to be Shadowstar, especially the conversation they had at lunch where Seth goes on a complete rant about, well, you won't know about the pressure that you get put on and blah, 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 blah. And he's like,
at that
you
point you're like
really thought about this.
yeah, it's like clearly you get it on a personal level. I think I remember when I first read the book, I was like, okay, yeah, clearly Seth is either Shadowstar or Pyrostorm, but it was like I couldn't figure it out for a little bit, till a little further in the book.
The minute that scene appeared, I went, Seth has to be Pyrostorm because there's nothing about him that has something to do with the shadows. He's too bubbly, too
Yeah.
light. And then I went, oh, if Seth is Pyrostorm, that means Owen has to be the dark dude because Owen's a prick, and I need him to be the dude with the shadows. And they're going to be, and oh my God, we got the whole plot of the entire series is going to be them fighting over Nick's relationship,
Yeah.
even though that's not the plot. But that's where my brain went at first, the first time I read
Yeah.
it. Um, how does the book explore themes of identity, belonging, and self acceptance?
Obviously, just the theme of identity. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just scared because he just brought out a fucking giant sword to open Amazon packages.
Been there.
Yeah. Um,
Sometimes you gotta grab what you can.
but I guess the theme of identity is everybody is just authentically themselves for the most part. Of course, obviously, the hiding secret superpower identity for Seth is a little different, but like themes of
Mhm,
identity of just like everybody's just authentically trying to be themselves in the best way possible, in the most positive way possible.
mhm,
And I feel like that adds to like the self acceptance of like, I like that this book for the self acceptance, it's not about the queerness acceptance. That's just established and is part of the book.
mhm.
The
And
more self
nobody
acceptance.
questions it.
Yeah, no. Even the dad's like, cool, I don't care, just be safe
And keep your
no
door
matter what.
open.
Yeah. Leave the door open, wear condoms. Like that's it. Like, but the self-acceptance and belonging definitely you see it slowly unfold, not only just throughout this book, but through the entire series of just being like, this is my life. I'm okay with my life.
And the families are so supportive of them, yes. That is one thing that I really loved about it, that they very much harked on it. Yes, Nick got picked on and things, but it was never about his sexuality. It's the fact that he's weird and his ADHD and all that stuff. So it was more about him being a nerd because he's so hyper fixates on this. They always pick on him because of his love for Shadowstar. But it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that he likes men. So that is where I liked it. And the fact that after Nick did the whole trying to become an extraordinary, he had to accept that he's just ordinary until he realizes certain things.
Yeah.
That his ADHD is his superpower.
Yeah.
So, um, what do you think of Clune's portrayal of the world of fan fiction in the online community? Do you feel it was accurate or inaccurate or
I mean, like I said before, I'm not really was never into like the like in the trenches of the fanfic community. But from what I know, I'd say it's fairly
mm,
accurate. And in general, the online community, it's like there are those like toxic people that are like, your content is trash, blah blah blah. Like this wouldn't actually happen. It's like, yeah, it's fucking fan fiction. None of this is gonna happen.
I'm
And some
sorry,
people don't realize
you have to suspend your
in your
disbelief
disbelief.
because it's fan fiction. Anything and everything can happen, and it doesn't have to stay like the storyline doesn't have to stay connected. It's a fan fiction.
Yeah,
Come
it doesn't have to
on.
stay connected and linear. It can just go all over the place. One chapter can be just a one random thing, and then the next chapter can be a next. It's same with life. It's like no 2 days in your life are the same. Why should
I
two
mean,
chapters in a fan fiction be the same?
with fan fiction side of it, going off of that, I was in an RPG online on Facebook for the She Who Shall Not Be Named series, which ended with Voldemort killing Harry and taking over. And we had Mrs. Levitt from Sweeney Todd, and Willy Wonka showed up with demonic Oompa Loompas. And my character spun with I had the blades from Ghost Rider, and every time I would apparate out of the area, I'd leave glitter. Listen, it doesn't make sense,
No, and
but it's for fun.
even we can kind of take almost one of the conversations that we had in the last live show with the online community. It's like each person to their own. The online community evolves and changes. Sometimes you like how the online community was a few years ago versus now, and you have to realize that it evolves.
And don't yuck anyone's yum.
There's very few points I will yuck somebody's yum.
I mean, if it involves pedophilia, uh, SA, or
Yeah, that's where I will sometimes yuck somebody's
like,
yum.
there's a few things that are it's okay to yuck someone's yum,
But
but
like
there's
just
in general, don't yuck someone's yum. Let them do them and have fun and keep your mouth shut.
exactly, their life isn't your life. If you don't want something in your life, don't fucking do it.
Um, we've discussed that, so we'll go to this. How does this book explore the idea of heroism and what it means to be excuse me, extraordinary? I don't know where that burp came from. My bad.
I don't know. Do
Oh,
you
and
want
that
to
burp
start?
tasted weird.
I feel like you've been reading a question, I've been saying something, and you've just been like adding on to, so why don't you say something and I'll try to add on.
To me, this whole thing, like I was saying, with what it means to be extraordinary, just with book one itself, is very much Nick with his ADHD, with his hyperfixation of the whole. He doesn't have to have powers to be extraordinary. He's extraordinary in his own way. I do believe there's a quote towards the end where his dad is like, don't forget, you are extraordinary. At least to me, you are. So just because you don't feel like you're the hero of your own story doesn't mean you're not the hero in someone else's and the villain in somebody else's.
Hmm.
So to me, that is what it to me is what is explored. To me, it's the whole like Nick coming to terms with accepting the hyperfixations, becoming more comfortable with his ADHD, and learning how to counteract some of the things that the ADHD makes it hard for him to do. Because that's his
Yeah.
superpower. Is he notices things, even if he is oblivious about the things he notices, he will remember them later on, going, "Oh." It may be like 6 weeks down the line where he's like, "Oh my god, he said that one word. Oh my god, he's the bad guy."
Yeah. I get that. I can remember things that were said or done months ago that are just like, huh?
And you have that aha moment of, "Ew, that's what they meant."
Hmm. Or it's like, why didn't I see that coming when they said that?
I mean, the only other major question that I had was, how does the book's humor contribute to the overall tone and message? Because this is one of the funniest. That's one thing TJ Klune can do, is write some humorous. Uh, just saying, his two funniest series, Extraordinaries, which is YA superheroes, and then you have the Lightning Struck Heart, which is Shrek
Shrek
erotica.
erotica.
Or Princess Diaries on cocaine.
Yeah,
Not Princess Diary
Princess Bride.
Bride on cocaine. Wrong princess.
Yeah. Which, hey, now at least I actually understand that reference a bit more, and I can see it more now because I've seen the Princess Bride now.
Yay! About time.
But like, I guess the humor almost it doesn't mask the theme and tones, but it allows you to comprehend it better because it lightens the mood, which I feel like sometimes is needed because you kind of need that humor along with this the more like darker and like
Hmm.
complex themes. It allows it to be more digestible and more for that YA audience that it intends to. Like you could like a 13-year-old could read this book and the humor would allow them to get the message more because well that's what its intended audience is for more that teenagers, but adults can enjoy it too.
Hmm. This is definitely. I would love a show of this. I think
Oh,
that a show,
absolutely.
a movie, I think it would be hilarious to see. Even if they made it animated, to me, we could get another like Q Force, which is on Netflix, which is a super gay spy team that is just super overtly gay. And they hit all the stereotypes, but it is made to be humorous. And I think teenagers and adults and even kids would understand this and just go, "Oh my god, that's hilarious." Cuz none of the jokes in this were something hard to understand. None of it was like dad joke humor unless it was the dad saying it.
Yeah, which sometimes you're not meant to get dad jokes unless you get it.
And now reading it for a second time, I get them. I mean, there was also a foreshadowing thing towards the end that I went, oh, because in that final battle, which do we find the ending satisfying, where that final battle where he's falling and then Cap just says, "You stopped midair and then just landed on your feet." And now in he foreshadowing.
I don't rem I vaguely remember the ending.
It's where Seth and Owen are on the bridge and Rebecca Firestone, who should be murdered.
Okay, yeah, I was like, I think it was the bridge. Yeah.
So it's
But
like,
like
mm,
when I remember reading the book for the first time, the ending, I remember just being like, okay, great ending. When can I read the next book? Like it's
hello.
satisfying, but you want more simultaneously,
Yes.
which is how I love books in a series where it's like, okay, yeah, I'm satisfied with this end, but I want more, but I don't need more like right this second. Because I think I waited a couple months before reading Flashfire.
We were reading this to promote Heatwave, weren't we? Yeah, because this came out in 2021 and Heatwave came out in 2022 in summer.
Yeah, and I think I know that I read Heat Wave in I think it was one of the last books I read in 2022.
This is still one of my favorite. This reread made it abundantly clear this is still one of my favorite TJ Klune series.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to continue my reread. And I think what messed me up is I kind of started this book just earlier this week, and it's more of the book where you read little bit by little bit. You read a couple chapters one day, a couple chapters the next. So now I'm like, I'm gonna do that for the rest of this book and then just transition into the second book so that
Hmm.
ooh, which I have I need to talk to you about something but for the next live show for when we're done.
Okay.
I know there's a date that would definitely work for me, so
Oh, okay.
I want to see if it works for everybody else, like for you as well.
Um, do you remember anything in this book overtly shocking you?
Not really.
I mean, it's a reread for us, so it's like we know what's coming.
Yeah, like even I'm like thinking to my first reread, and I'm like, I don't necessarily remember my reaction to things, so I'm gonna say no.
Any quotes? I know the main quote that stood out to me, like I said, was the dad towards the end during that final battle.
And then whenever I listened to the audiobook for, well, I think I listened to the audiobook and the physical book I borrowed from my library, so I didn't have any quotes because library book. And then this time around, I've just listened to the audiobook because it's a series that I know I like the audiobook of.
Um, something about his dad saying, "Don't forget, you're extraordinary to me." Oh, this. I don't need you to be an extraordinary, Nikki. Not when you're already extraordinary to me.
That's cute. That I love his dad.
Hmm. Thoughts on the writing style?
Simplistic and funny.
Yes, I would say that exactly. And simplistic, not in the sense of it's too simple, but it's like
Yeah,
that
not
easy.
yeah, not and also not in the boring simplicity.
Hmm.
Because there's sometimes books it's like it's so simplistic that it's boring. This is more it's just easy to read, easy to digest, like listening to it, it just feels like I'm being like just immersed really well in the story because it's so simplistic.
It almost feels nostalgic coming back to it.
Honestly, I'm like me and when I first read this book, comparing where I was in life to now, first of all, I'm actually fucking happy. I know I was miserable and just trying to disguise it when we first read this. Well, I was like I wasn't completely miserable because I was like, oh, I finally have friends.
Oh my god, I read this before I got married.
Yeah, you read that. I'm when
I
I
read
read
this in
this,
the
it
year I got married.
yeah, because you got married in the
August.
fall. Yeah, well, yeah, fall. Like, oh, my brain goes like August is the start of fall here, so in
Oh,
like summer.
August 6th.
Yeah. And at that point, I was still living with my parents, still in high school. We read this book when I just turned 18. We read it, I think, the month after I turned 18, and now I'm like, I'm in a whole different stage of my life.
Same. Hmm.
And it's also, oh my, we're having like, it's literally like nostalgic rereading a book that, oh my God, how nostalgic it's gonna be when we read the Green Creek series.
Oh my
That I fear
god.
we're gonna cry.
Oh, we will.
I f-
We
we are gonna
will.
be sobbing.
I sobbed every the original time I read it. And now I've got almost 6 different editions that I can pick and choose which ones I'm going to read.
Which one you're gonna cry into?
Does this book remind you of any others? The only other book that this made me think of was like this is a gay version of Renegades by Marissa Meyer.
See, I still need to read that.
But it's the only other superhero book that I can think of that's not
Yeah,
like a. I will say this gave me X-Men vibes with the way
yeah.
that their powers work.
It's just anything superheroes, I'd say.
Any lingering thoughts on the book?
Young queer joy.
This book
That's it.
is the epitome of our book club.
It literally is. We just need to find something that's exactly this vibe, but like a little
Adult.
more adult.
Adults with smutty scenes.
Yeah, that's what we need for our book club. So any suggestions definitely will be taken into consideration.
And did your rating change?
No, I genuinely think that once I finish this reread, it's gonna be a 5 star,
Same, it was a 5 star.
which I think would actually be. I want to say that when I finish this, it'll be my first 5 star of the year.
Interesting.
I want to say, have I had a 5 star read yet? Oh, okay,
Not
no, I
with
did.
any.
I did have a 5 star read, which, funny enough, was also a reread, which was the Sunbearer Trials.
I was about to say my brain just went, wait, did you reread the Aiden Thomas's? It's like Aiden Thomas's book, which
Yeah,
I read the first
that
one
yeah. So my
and I never went back into the second one.
I'm hoping. Maybe I'm thinking like next month. But
I
I've
mean,
said
it'll
that
work
I was
for the
gonna do that
bingo
the
board.
last like 4 months.
I mean, it'll work for the bingo board.
Yeah, but we'll see. My goal is to get it read by the end of the year. We got a few months still.
But that is all we've got for this, guys. I apologize if we didn't go full into depth with this one. I'm trying not to spoil a series. So maybe
Yeah,
we should have waited to do the live of this until we read all three.
yeah. But I mean, it still got our thoughts, and it also got us back into the world, talking
Mhm.
about these characters, and kind of like now that we have talked about it, I'm even more excited to finish this book, read the next, and then for just future live shows in general, because it's like, okay,
Yes.
I now get the vibe of it's really like pushing me now. So I'm like, this was needed.
Yes, very much so. So, like we said in the last live, I hope you guys join us for for pole position towards the end of the month. And for Klunealong, we will be reading Flashfire this month. And because it's me and Hope, we are still doing the Osmond along. Me and Hope and our friend Morgan, if we ever do a live.
Yeah, I haven't read any of them. I was gonna read it on vacation and then I got distracted.
But just so that you guys know, we are supposed to be reading Heartstopper Volume 3. I just pulled up Volume 3 down. I have multiple editions. This will probably not be the one that I read. But yeah. All the gay, all the gay, all the time. I mean, it's my channel. Do you expect anything less?
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'll read it. You could just message me and be like, read this book, and I'm like, okay.
And Miss V says I immediately read the second after finishing. So, yay. I love when that
I don't blame
happens,
you.
when someone's like, nope, I got to pick up the next one. But that's all we've got for you. We move the mouse. That's all we've got for you guys. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. Hope is linked down below. If you haven't followed her, go follow her. And all of the informations for everything is linked down below if you need it. If you're new, hit that subscribe. And until next time, guys, always embrace your inner rainbow. Take care of your mental health. Hydrate or mummify.
I
And
don't have a drink.
and until next time, I hope y'all have a fabulously gay day, month, year, whatever it is in your time zone, whatever it is when you get to this video. I hope it's fabulous and gay. Till next time, bye. In the broadcast.
Broadcast.